Networking, Turning Conversations into Relationships, hosted by HRDQ-U and presented by Amy Dinning. Today's webinar will last around 1 hour. If you have any questions, you can always type them into the questions box. We will be answering questions as they come in live at the end of the presentation or as a follow-up by email. My name is Sarah Schaefer, and I will moderate today's webinar. Amy is a Learning and Development Manager of ARIS with extensive experience working with all organizational levels, setting in the strategy, creating, promoting, and delivering talent, leadership, and learning solutions designed to support the organization's business plan. Amy is passionate about creating an interactive and enjoyable environment that supports learning and growth. Welcome, Amy, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm happy to be here, and thank you everyone for being on the webinar today. The reason why we're speaking about networking is it is something that I am very passionate about because I believe it's a really important life skill. I believe it's a skill when you're working. I believe it's a skill when you're looking for another job, when you're unemployed. You can use it for so many reasons, for so many things, and that's why I'm here today, and I hope that's why you're here today as well. And just an interesting story, because I like to tell stories when I go through webinars. The reason why I'm here today is because of networking. One of HRDQ's favorite people, Lou Russell, who does some webinars for them, recommended me into HRDQ to do a webinar. So through networking, I'm here today to speak with you. So I really do appreciate you coming in and joining us. So let's get started. Because I'll probably have a few folks on the line that are from my organization, I wanted to give a shout out to people from ARIS. That's the organization that I work for. They are a global innovator in internet protocol, video, and broadband technology. And it's a really interesting and exciting field, and it's a new field for me because I'm new in this role as of January. I'm learning a lot about the telecommunications industry and really enjoying that. It's very, very fast-paced. So actually, networking is helping me out right now as I learn about the industry and my job here with ARIS. So one of the things that I want to ask you about as you take a look at our learning objectives for today is I believe that it's really important that we learn from each other. So while I'll be facilitating the webinar, I'm going to be asking you to go into the question box and be typing in comments and answers to questions that I ask you, as well as questions that you might have for me, because I believe that we can really learn from each other, grow from your ideas and your answers, as well as mine. So I really will ask that instead of taking the afternoon coffee break now, that you will participate by typing into the question window. So here's our learning objectives. I'm not going to read them to you, but this is what my hope is that we'll accomplish today during the webinar. So my first question for you, and if you will go into the question area and type for me, and we'll be able to see this, what is networking? If we're going to talk about it, we need to define it. We need to give it some terminology that we understand. So would you go ahead and type in and tell us what you think networking is? I would love to get your feedback. So I see collaboration, building relationships, good, meeting new folks, connection from person to person, using relationships to help each other develop professionally. That's great, I like that. Meeting people, building professional contacts to learn and grow, absolutely. Connecting and building relationships. Oh, you guys are great. Connecting to each other. Building relationships that go beyond business interactions. Developing good business partnerships. Using your contacts to promote yourself or your company to others. Excellent. Connecting with people to learn. So there's a lot about learning, there's a lot about growing, there's a lot about building new relationships and building existing relationships as well. Collaboration, that's a big word today, isn't it? And an important one. So connecting, absolutely. You guys are right on target with this. So basically, I see your words and the definition that I have here, building productive relationships for business or personal reasons. And actually, I guess I could change that to be for business and personal reasons, because I network both internally in my organization, externally, professionally, and personally. So think about how you can do that as we walk through talking about networking today. And oh, here's another one that I like, helping others by sharing your strengths. That's great. Visiting with people on different topics that they are interested in. So you guys have a lot of great things. I hope I get to see the chat afterwards, because I appreciate what you're sharing. So I found this quote, and I really like it in regard to networking. A relationship is only as strong as the two people that are in it. So as you mentioned, a lot of you said building relationships is what networking is about. And it's about two people. It's not just about one person. And that's really key, because I know I talk to people that are in job search mode or underemployed or unemployed. And they always focus on the fact that they're networking with somebody and it's a one-way street. And it's never a one-way street. It's a two-way street where we can learn and grow from each other. So I really like this, because that relationship will be as strong as the two people that are connecting together for that networking. So I've got some more, I need some more help from you. If you will go into the question window again, and you'll help me out here with, what is the value of networking? What value, or why do you network? You know, why would you do that? Why would you spend time networking? I can tell you what I think, but I know that you have some good ideas as well. So what is the value of networking? Working together, sharing ideas, a wide group of people, using a snowball effect. I like that. Meeting with people from other organizations so that you can gather information from them and learn from them. Great. All right, I'm going to go down a little bit here, because I'm still getting some of my first question. Learning from others internally and externally. Great. Learning new skills, making new connections, forging professional growth opportunities, getting new ideas, becoming an effective leader. Oh, I like that. Getting more resources. You know, one of the things that I find from other people is it's so helpful to learn about resources that I don't know about, to provide growth for yourself, both personally and professionally. Absolutely, a lot of you are saying that. Increase your self-confidence. It's a win-win. Isn't it a win-win? Because you both are going to have an advantage from having that networking relationship. Getting different perspectives. Thanks for saying that, because I think that's important, because sometimes that challenges us on how we think and what we feel when we receive these people's different perspectives from ours. It provides opportunities. Absolutely. You never know what a networking relationship, what advantage that's going to bring to you and to them. And you can build trust with that other person. Great. You guys are coming up with great ideas. And I think I have most of them on my slide as well, but I think you've got some other ones that I like that I may be adding here. So new information. I'm always researching and looking for new information. And why not find it through other people that have that information? Gain a benefit from their knowledge and their experience. Get those new connections that really enhance your professional and your personal life. I like the fact that it broadens my horizons, and sometimes it makes me think of things that I haven't thought of before, and it really does challenge me. It enriches our lives. I don't know about you guys, and you can tell me if you think this is true, but one of the benefits that I have received from networking is some really great friends that I've gotten to know either professionally or personally just through networking opportunities. And I wasn't really expecting that. I was going into networking when I was unemployed to try to help me to determine where I was going next or for information's sake. And, you know, I found these great friends that are my friends now today and probably, I hope, will be forever. So what an interesting thing that comes out of networking. Maybe we have a question or a problem and we throw it out there to our network and people come back with answers that help us to get immediate information from around the globe even, you know, because we're so digital today and so, you know, can get to everybody easily and quickly, you can get that kind of information. I see somebody typed in the chat, I want to bring it up, that networking's value is priceless. And I would agree with you. Thank you for saying that. Getting other people's viewpoints, finding out about maybe a target company that you're interested in knowing about, learning about new industries, somebody just said, your own career development. Where do I want to go? And what does that look like? I can find out some help about that through networking. And obviously, you guys have been saying this a lot. Learning and growing is really a huge piece of networking because, you know, you're getting these perspectives, this information that you might never get if you don't seek it out through networking. I love this quote by Keith Ferrazzi, and hopefully some of you know Keith. He's written a couple of books. His first one, Never Eat Alone, is a great book if you have the opportunity to get it. The currency of real networking is not greed. So we're not going into this for a greedy reason. We're going in because we want to help others. And if we get helped back, hey, that's a great benefit as well, right? So I love that quote, and you may want to take a look at his book, Never Eat Alone. So let's see. I want you to take a moment. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to do a poll here, don't I, Sarah? So Sarah, can you go ahead and launch our first poll because I want to know a little bit about our audience here today. So if you guys would go ahead and answer this question, what is your level of comfort with regard to networking? Are you very uncomfortable? Are you uncomfortable? Are you somewhat uncomfortable? Or are you comfortable with networking? Be honest. You know, we're not going to call out anybody's names. We can't see your names, but we really want to know, you know, what is the overall feeling with your comfort level with networking? And if you're uncomfortable, that's okay. That may be why you're on the call today, so that you can gain some more information and get more comfortable. So we're going to take a look at the results of the poll. And so we've got very uncomfortable, 11%, uncomfortable, 12%, somewhat uncomfortable, 54%, and comfortable, 23%. So we have a decent mix there, a little bit on the sway of the uncomfortable. So I am glad you're here today because I think that I can give you some tips and tricks and ideas around networking that if you try them will help you to be more comfortable with it. So here's a little exercise. Oh, we do have another poll, don't we, Sarah? See, I'm not even paying attention to my own slides. So let's launch the second poll, and I want to get an answer from you on this because I think this would be helpful too. How many formal or informal internal networking or external networking events did you have on your calendar for this month? You know, take a guess at it. 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, or 20 plus. Informal meaning, you know, it wasn't something that you paid money and you planned. It may have been a meeting one-on-one with somebody. It might have been right off the top of the, you know, you just met somebody and said, hey, let's have coffee or let's chat for a few minutes. And formal would be a more formal event that you maybe paid money for or a business event that you went to for your business, a conference, a seminar, something like that. So let's see what we have here. So 1 to 5, 78% of you, 1 to 5. 6 to 10, 16%. 11 to 15 events, 3%. 16 to 20, 2%, and 20 plus 2%. So I'll share with you, this wasn't one of my banner months because normally I'm probably up in the 15 to 20 range. This month I went to approximately, say, 10 to 12 different events for networking purposes, whether they were internal to the organization or external. So thanks for sharing that, because that gives me a feel for where each of you are right now and how I can kind of help with your networking endeavors. So finally, we get to the slide, since I forgot about my polls. And I would like you to, if you don't have the handouts, take a piece of paper. If you do have the handouts, next to this slide, I want you to write down either a person's name or a title of a position or maybe a functional area in your organization, or it could be external to your organization that you want to meet somebody. You want to meet a person in that function. You want to meet a person with that title, or maybe there's an actual specific person that you want to network with. And I want you to write down a name or two so that you can start thinking about that as we go through the rest of the information today. Think about that person and that person's name. So write that down, and I'll give you an example. So in my organization, there is somebody that works with organizational development, which is a piece of training and development that I haven't had a lot of exposure to. It's not something that I've done a lot with, and I'm interested in learning more and getting more involved in that. And I actually did a webinar internal to my company recently, and I mentioned that that was the case, and she was actually on the webinar, which I didn't realize at the time, and that I was intending to reach out to her to have a networking call so that I can learn more about organizational development and what she does. So she actually set up a meeting for us, and it's later this week. So that's what I'm asking you to think about, either an actual person, a role that a person might have, or a title, a position, or maybe a functional area that you want to know more about. Write that down so that we can have a commitment to coming back to that and focusing on that. All right, so let's see. I'm going to get back into our questions and answers again, which I haven't read all of yours out because you guys are doing such a good job of participating. So what are some things that we need to consider when we are networking? I call them networking do's, things you should do when you're networking. Or another way to put it is, when you're networking, what's important to remember? So can you get into the question and give me some idea of what you think is important? Ah, good. Staying positive, absolutely. Using eye contact if you're face-to-face. Sometimes you may be on the phone. Following up, absolutely. Being confident. Having a business card or something to share with them so we can stay connected. Good. Active listening. I like that you wrote active listening, not just listening, so that you're engaged and you're staying involved in the process. Asking questions, absolutely. The whole point is, right, we want to learn and we want to grow from each other. So one of the best ways you can do that, you hit the nail on the head, is to ask questions. Perfect. Be approachable yourself. You know, I'm taking this from the standpoint that I'm going out and I'm networking with somebody else, but somebody could be coming up to me and wanting to network. So I need to be approachable, being polite, absolutely, being considerate of people's time. Think about that when you're networking. Obviously, we're going to be giving up some of our time, and they're going to be giving up some of their time. So we do want to be considerate about that. Researching ahead of time so that we're prepared. Absolutely. Know the business goals. Be authentic. Oh, thank you for that. So be yourself. Be real. You know, don't put on some facade to network with. Be yourself so people are actually seeing who you are. Somebody wrote that it's a two-way street. Thank you for saying that, because that is so important with this. Be willing to share as much as you're willing to receive, right? So we want to gain something from this relationship, but we also need to be able to give something out to the person. Listen first. Oh, you guys must have seen my slides ahead of time. You're doing a great job. Ask for feedback, right? Be prepared ahead of time. You know, because when you network, everything that you do shows a bit about who you are. If you're prepared, if you ask good questions, if you research, versus if you just go into it and don't prepare ahead of time. That shows a bit about who you are, and that person can see that about yourself. Have fun. Thank you for saying have fun, because I love to network, and it is fun to get to know other people and to learn from them. So thank you for saying that. I think that's really important. Transparency. Don't make it all about you. Absolutely. Again, this is a two-way street. And actually, if I can, I keep the focus on the other person. And it's going to come back to me at some point, but I try to keep it on them. So good. You guys got the nail on the head. So here are mine that I came up with, most of which you have already said. So thank you for doing that. Number one, consider every opportunity is networking. You know, you're going to a barbecue, you're networking, you're learning, you're engaging, you're building relationships in your neighborhood maybe. You're going to a business activity or event. You have the opportunity to network. So it's look at everything as an opportunity to network. Focus on the other person. Give them your focus and your attention. Be gracious. You know, somebody had said be positive. Add value. Look for how can I add value? And my brain kind of naturally goes this way, but when somebody comes up to me and they start talking, for some reason my brain starts going and I start thinking of ideas or people I can connect them to based on what they're sharing. So, so start to think about how can I, you know, add value to this conversation? How can I add value to this relationship? I love what somebody said here. Reach out to someone who looks uncomfortable networking. If you're at a big networking group, you know, help somebody out that might not be as comfortable as you, and that will help you to feel more comfortable as well. Have positive body language, right? You know, don't have your arms closed and your eyes averted, but, you know, have positive opening, you know, have an open body language so people want to approach you. All right, I'm looking at some of your answers here. And follow up. Absolutely. Because I'll ask you a question. If you're not going to follow up, what's the point? You know, the point of networking is to start building this relationship, which isn't just a one-time thing, hopefully, but over time we continue to build it. So if I don't follow up, I just lost most of my advantage from, you know, having that networking conversation. Okay, oh, I did get a question, and I'm actually going to answer it. How do you keep people from feeling you're working the room? I think that's a good question. And I think it's because it's got to be part of how you're showing yourself. So if you're being gracious, if you're being yourself, and if you're not running around handing your business card to everybody, which will be on probably the next slide that we look at, I think, and you spend a little bit of time with people, then you can move on and not be seen as working the room. And if you are just trying to hand out your business card, that's not networking. Just getting your business card in as many hands as possible is definitely not networking. So since you asked that question, I'm going to move to this next slide because you're leading me into that. What are some networking don'ts that we should have? What should we not do when we're networking? Because it's obviously not going to be to our benefit or the other person's benefit. So go ahead into the question area again and share with me some networking don'ts. And I saw a couple earlier that went by, but if you typed them in earlier, type them again. So don't talk too much. Don't ask someone to share confidential information. Don't depreciate other people. We want to appreciate them, not depreciate them, because we're having this opportunity to meet with them, share with them, learn from them. Don't make it all about you. Self-promote, this is all about me, and not let the other person share their information. Good. This isn't about gossip. We're not getting together to network to gossip. We're getting together for those reasons that we put on the value of networking slide. Don't respond with one-word answers. You're not helping the other person. You know, give some information. Yeah, don't hand out your cards and walk away. That's not what this is all about. Don't look at your phone the whole time. Oh, thank you for saying that. Eye contact. If you're on a phone call with somebody, don't be multitasking. Be focusing on that person because they can tell. Even if you're not face-to-face, they can tell if you're focusing on them or not. Don't talk about frustrations. You know, this is an opportunity to learn and share and not necessarily go into negatives about different things. We want to stay positive about this. Don't be needy or greedy. I like that. So you don't want to come to them with your hands out saying, I need everything you can give me, which is either needy and or greedy. So don't use it as pushing products or services in somebody's face. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that because I've had that happen to myself. All right, so you've got some great answers there. And I think you actually got most of mine as well, so thank you for doing that because then I just put them up on the slide and you've already done them. Don't do all the talking. Paper the world with your information. Don't do that, okay? If somebody requests some information with you, then it's perfectly fine to give it to them, but I don't give something unless it's requested of me. I'm not expecting them to give me all their contacts or all their information. That would be unfair because I'm not willing to give that to them. Don't ask for something that you think they can't give you because they're going to feel badly that they can't give it to you. And if you're attending some kind of an event or a function, don't be late. I know that sounds silly, but it actually, you know, again, it says something about you. Don't hand out your resume. Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, you guys have so many. Oh, don't get drunk if you're at an event. You're not going to probably network very well if you are inebriated. Don't be rude. Absolutely, you guys are doing great. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate them. So I'm going to give you a couple of tools as we go through today. And the first tool is an elevator speech. Now, a lot of people look at an elevator speech being something that you only use when you're unemployed, and I don't agree. I think that you always need an elevator speech to present yourself. You need like a 30-second to 1-minute introduction of yourself with your name. What's your professional identity? What's your experience like? Maybe some of your strengths. And what are you hoping to gain from being at the event or having this conversation with this individual? So it might look something like this. Hi, my name's Amy Dinning. I'm a learning and development leader. I've worked in a variety of industries like telecommunications, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, banking, and nonprofit. I think some of my strengths are my ability to gain credibility through my facilitation skills, my influencing skills, and my leadership skills. And I'm here today and I'm looking to meet with you and hear about what you're doing in your field, which is an area that I would like to gain more information on. I'd love to hear some more about you. Why don't you tell me about you? So that's what I would use an elevator speech for internally or externally if I am employed. You know, if I'm unemployed, it might look a little bit different where I might say at the end what type of position I'm looking to find. So they change a little bit, but I believe that everybody needs an elevator speech. So go into the chat box and tell me this. Do you have, no, I don't think we have that. So go into the chat box and just type a Y if you have an elevator speech or an N if you don't have an elevator speech. Oh, I got a variety here. Okay. So this is one of those slides that you want to earmark so that you can say, hey, I need to work on getting my elevator speech down if you don't already have one. Oh, I have a yes and a no. So does that mean you want to work on it a little bit more maybe? All right. So that's a great tool to have in your toolbox for networking purposes. So let's talk about the process of networking, and then I'm going to talk about large group networking events and one-on-one networking events. So let's talk about the process first, which is very similar to lots of things, making friends, establishing new business contacts. You know, you've probably seen this process. You want to start by establishing rapport with the person so that you both feel comfortable, right? And you want to notice the second one is listen with purpose. And a lot of you mentioned active listening, which I think is important. And the point here is it's not all about me. So I'm going to listen first. So if I'm going into that situation, I might ask the person to introduce themselves first, and then I'll listen, and then I'll introduce myself. But listen with purpose, and make sure you really are listening. Ask insightful questions that you're going to get at something. You know, why are you at this event? What are you trying to seek out? Make sure your questions are going to help you to do that. Radiate credibility. I love that. So can you guys help me out with how would I radiate credibility? How do you do that in a networking event? What kinds of things help you to radiate credibility? So go into your question again and give me some ideas of what you think. Be truthful. Absolutely. Your body language. Be honest. Having eye contact with somebody else is going to help. Being thoughtful. Showing confidence. How you appear, your dress. Being sincere. Oh, your tone of voice. That's really important because sometimes you can tell people are not credible right away by their tone of voice, right? Present facts without rambling. Show a genuine interest in them. That's going to show that you're credible. Absolutely. Share relevant things that you know. Having some knowledge and experience that you can share is going to help as well. Your handshake, actually, good. That shows if you're face-to-face, good. Communicate concisely. So I am not going to make my elevator speech 5 minutes and put you to sleep. I want my elevator speech to be short and concise. I want my questions to be concise. I don't want to ramble. I don't want to go on because I'm going to lose the person. Again, we want this to be beneficial to both of you. Show openness when you're having this conversation with this other person. And some of the things that you mentioned with credibility would reply to showing openness at all as well. Exhibit professionalism. You know, whether I'm personally networking or professionally networking, I really try to do it professionally so that, you know, people are feeling valued, people are feeling respected. You know, it's not about gossip like you guys mentioned earlier. So you want to be showing that. And then notice that follow through is here again. It is so critical. Can I tell you, circle follow through. And the reason why I say that is I've had many people network with me and they don't follow up with what they say they're going to do and I never hear from them again. And that's a lost connection. Why are you taking the time if you're not going to stay connected with me in some manner? And we'll talk about how to do that as well. And the more credible and professional you are, the more somebody's going to be open with you and share with you. So let's talk about large group networking events. This could be business-oriented. This could be personal-oriented. So give me some ideas. What are some large group networking events that you have attended, either now or in the past? What have you gone to? Okay, SHRM, conventions, expos, good. Chamber of Commerce, all hands-on meetings, something at church, good. Fundraisers, absolutely. Professional speakers, company functions, absolutely. How about alumni association meetings, all staff meetings? Oh, there we go. My career transitions, I see some of my friends are on the line from my career transitions, which is for the under or unemployed. Volunteer opportunities. Absolutely. Remember we said like anything is networking? Children's school functions, sporting events, library events, great. Church, great. So all of these things give you the opportunity to be in a large group and network. So why do you think it's important to attend some large group networking events, even if sometimes it's not the most comfortable thing in the world? What do you think? Why would I attend some large group networking events? So I can be visible. It's new people that I haven't met yet. Lots of people to practice with. Thank you. That's great. Again, it's new people. It's new groups. Stretch my horizons. Absolutely. You don't ever know who you're going to meet. Absolutely. That's great. It gets better with practice. That's wonderful. So the more that you practice networking, the easier it gets. And these provide lots of opportunities that then if you find somebody you really connect with, you can then say, hey, let's get coffee, and have a one-on-one meeting. And then you can get deeper in that relationship. You can also watch and learn how other people are networking. Perfect. That's great. And I like to sometimes attend meetings that I don't normally attend so that it stretches me out of my comfort zone. So think about that. So here's some things to think about for the how of the large group event. When you go, get ready ahead of time. Have a goal. Have a plan. Look at the organization that's holding the event and research them. If you can find out who's attending, research those people because maybe you want to target some specific people to learn from and to get some information from or that you can share information with. If you can't get names of people ahead of time, when you get to the event, take a look at the name tags and the organizations or the name tags and the titles. Even if it's within your own business, you're not going to know everyone. So take a look at the name tags and think about who do I want to focus on? Because in a large group, you don't want to meet everybody. You absolutely don't. It's not going to be good networking. You want to focus on a few. Make sure you refine your elevator speech for that event and for the people that you will be meeting. Ask questions, share information, because remember, it's that two-way street. I want to learn, but I also want to share information that might help other people that are there. And then again, you're going to see follow-up on my slide because I've said how important it is. If I meet some people and I say, that would be a really good person for me to connect with further. For example, I was just at a ATD conference, Association of Talent Development. That's my professional association. And I met a woman who was in a very similar role as me, doing very similar things. So we said to each other, hey, let's connect after the conference so that we can share best practices and maybe help each other. So I got her business card, and on the back I actually wrote myself a note, in a very similar role, connect with her after the conference so that I will follow up. So I've sent her a LinkedIn invitation, and I would love to have a call with her at some point in time. So those are kind of how to work your large group. And let's take a look at, what do I say? Oh my gosh, what do I say? It's always hard to get started. So if you have something different from what I have on my slide here, would you type that in the question window? How do you get started? I might say, tell me a little bit about yourself, or my name's Amy, what's yours? So you want to have kind of a starter question that you can ask somebody as you go up to them to meet them. And here's something that somebody told me. I don't know what you guys think about this. I like the idea. Somebody said it's good to go up to groups of 3 as opposed to groups of 2. And the group of 3, you're not that, you might not be in that really deep conversation with the group of 3 like you might be with a group of 2. So when you're in that networking group, you get your name tag and you go in, look for a group of 3 and kind of go up to them. And if they're talking, kind of listen in. And then when you get a chance, say, hey, my name is Amy, what's yours? I'd like to get to know you folks a little bit better. But you want to have something to get started. And most people are awkward about this, so if you get it started, they're sitting there saying, oh, thank God, somebody had something to get the conversation started. So don't be afraid to do that. You can be helpful. So let's take a look at another tool. I think it's really important to have a networking agenda. Now, most of the time I use this on a one-on-one meeting or phone call. I don't necessarily do all of this when I'm in a large group networking, but you could do parts of this when you're in a large group networking. So, of course, the beginning, you want to do introductions, your elevator speech. Have them go first, and then you share your elevator speech. And you may say, well, why are you here? Or why are we meeting together today? What's the purpose? What are our goals? Well, my goal is, as I shared with you earlier, that with the person that I want to network with, hey, I want to learn more about organizational development and see what I can get exposure to from you. And I would really value that from you. How about you? Do you have a goal in connecting with me? So you want to share your goals so that you're focused during the time that you're having a meeting or a call. And then you want to look at asking and answering questions, getting and giving advice, asking for and making suggestions. Again, a two-way street going both ways. You know, based on what we've talked about, do you have any advice for me of how I could get some more information? Is there a good book I could read, or maybe a webinar I could attend on organizational development? You know, that might be a question that I ask the person that I'm having my meeting with. You want to look at sharing connections and sharing information with each other so that you can benefit from each other. And you want to look at that and say, you know, do I know of anybody that might benefit this person? Do I know of any information that might benefit this person? So I think that's really important. And then again, of course, closing, thank you, and follow-up. I always want to thank people for their time, for their effort, for being willing to connect with me and have that conversation with me. And somebody said, anybody else that you recommend I talk to? Excellent question that you may want to consider. Now, notice in here, I have asked what I can do to help. I always ask people, how can I help you at some point in time when I'm networking? Because it's a two-way street and I want to make sure that I offer that. They may have something right away that they give me and ask me, or they may say, you know, I'm not sure yet, but I'll get back to you. So I want to offer that so that they know that I'm valuing this and I am looking at it as a two-way street. So let's take a look at one-on-one meetings or calls. So you might not be able to meet them face-to-face. If you can, it's fabulous. If you can't, the phone call is very good as well. Same idea, have a goal. What are you trying to accomplish with, maybe you met this person at a large group networking event, and now we're going to have a meeting or a call to follow up. I need to have a goal for that. And hopefully they have a goal for that meeting as well. I want to research, just like I did with the large group. I'm going to look into that person, and I'm going to prepare some questions that I want to ask. So how would I research that person? What are some ways I can get some information about the person that I'm networking with? Can you go into your question area and share some ideas there of how I can research the person I'm going to meet with? Number one, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, website, right? Twitter. Absolutely. So you want to find out information ahead of time so that you can be prepared to talk to that person. And, you know, don't be afraid to bring up, wow, I saw that you won an award that you put on your LinkedIn profile. That was really awesome. Tell me some more about that. Because everybody knows their information's out there today. They're not going to get spooked by you seeing that. Before I have a meeting or a call, I send a quick agenda like the slide previous to this, so that if the person is not as accomplished in networking, they kind of have an idea of what we're going to be doing and the time that we're going to be meeting. And I usually do that for about 30 minutes. I try not to do them longer than 30 minutes, you know, so that I'm not taking up a lot of someone's time. And I also send a little bit of information on me, maybe a profile or a bio, but not like a full-blown, I don't send a resume, never. just a little bit of information so they know who I am if they don't know who I am when I'm having this call. You want to refine your elevator speech again, considering the person you're going to be meeting with. Follow your agenda. Don't go longer than the time that you've asked for if you've asked for the meeting. And then follow up. And there's something I want to mention here with the follow-up. That is a networking newsletter. Now, I can't take total credit for this idea because it's not mine. Ford Myers, a friend of mine who's a career consultant, wrote a book, Get the Job You Want Even When No One's Hiring, and this was an idea in his book. And it's for unemployed, but I use it even when I'm employed. And that is, stay in touch with your network. Every so often, maybe share a quick email with, you can do it as a group, but I would blind copy if you do it as a group, or individually, and just say, hey, this is what I'm up to. What are you up to? Here's how I can support you. Here's some ways that you could help me. And that keeps you current in their minds, and it also hopefully has them respond back, and you can find out what's happening with people in your network. So think about the idea of a networking newsletter. Here's some ideas, and I know you had typed a couple of questions that you wanted to ask as well in the question box. Here's some ideas. Now, your question is going to be based on what you're hoping to gain from this networking contact. So it could be, you know, if I want to learn about organizational development, how did you get started? How could I get more information? How can I learn about it? Is there education I could pursue? But maybe that's not what you want to know about. So your questions are going to be different. They're going to be based on whatever it is that you're looking to find out from that networking contact. I do love the last one. I think that pretty much applies to anybody. Do you have any advice or suggestions for me based on what we've discussed today in our 30-minute call or our 30-minute meeting? Because, you know, people always like to give advice, and you may get some good thoughts that you haven't thought about, some good ideas, some things that you haven't pursued. So I love this quote that I found out again on the internet because it is important when you're networking to be the type of person you want to meet. You don't want to be somebody that's going to be overbearing. You don't want to be somebody that's going to monopolize like we've talked about before. It makes people uncomfortable networking with you. So practice. Practice on your friends. Practice on your family, practice on your dog, you know, practice just so that you feel more comfortable. As many of you said before, you didn't feel comfortable. The more networking you do, the more you will feel comfortable. I can promise you that because I feel much more comfortable now than I did in the past. Some follow-up tools that I want to mention. If you have a call, a meeting, one-on-one with somebody, that you share information, send a thank you email or a thank you note. You know, it's so nice to get a thank you note actually handwritten today because nobody does it anymore, but at least say thank you somehow to the person who's giving you some of their time, you've given some of your time. It makes them feel valued. It makes them feel like you felt the time was worthwhile. Send personalized LinkedIn invitations. And if you don't know what I mean by that, don't send the, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn. And how you do that, go out to the profile, click that you want to connect, and then it's going to come up with how do you know them, and that's where you can personalize it. Hi, Amy. I was on your webinar today, and I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. Would be great, versus if I get 50 of you sending, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn, and I don't know how I know you. So people are cautious sometimes about who they connect with, and therefore if you personalize it, they remember who you are and know how you know each other, and they're more willing to accept your connection. So whenever you're out on LinkedIn, personalize those invitations. If you're going to send any information that you said you were going to send, make sure that you do that. If you said you were going to make a connection for somebody, make sure that you do that. Maybe you're introducing them to somebody else through email. Go ahead and make that connection for them. And then every so often, and I say to people that are in job search, you may want to do it every other month, a networking newsletter. If you've got a job, maybe you do it every 6 months to just remind people where you're at, what you're doing, what you're looking into, what you're interested in, how they can help you, and how you can help them. Okay, so before I go to my next slide, I want to ask you a question, and will you type this in the chat window, or the question window, I'm sorry. So what are you going to do with what you've learned today thus far? What are you going to do? Because if you don't do anything with this, nothing's going to change with regard to your networking. So give me some ideas of some things you're going to do, and then I'm actually going to give you an action plan that I'd like you to think about going forward from here. So let's see, network in your organization, work on your elevator speech. Good, create your elevator speech. Look at the newsletter idea. Be approachable, excellent. Work on your elevator speech, refine your networking. Attend more events, absolutely. That's your practice right there, is to attend more events. Make sure that you're networking on a regular basis and that you have it on your calendar. Work on your LinkedIn profile. If you're within your organization and you're internally networking, it's still important to have that LinkedIn profile. Whether you're employed or you're unemployed or you're underemployed, that LinkedIn profile is crucial. Reconnect with some of your connections. Think about all that you can learn internally from networking with people that you know inside your organization or people that you do not yet know. I'm doing a lot of that to learn more about the telecommunications industry right now. Meeting with people, asking a lot of questions, and doing a lot of listening. Think of a list of people that you want to network with. Good, you guys are great. I hope you're writing these down as well as typing them in the question box. So here is my action plan for you, and that is, think of 2 areas of networking, anything that we've talked about today where you want to improve your skills and your confidence. How will you go about improving in these areas? What will you do to commit to improving your confidence in networking? Choose one event that you'll attend within the next month and put it on your calendar. Sign up today. And then think of names of people, and you wrote down somebody earlier, or maybe it was a role, that you want to network with, and schedule a time to contact them and network with them. So take your piece of paper or your handouts, and quickly, I'm just going to give you a minute here, identify these 2 areas. How are you going to improve? What are you going to do to improve your confidence? Pick an event and think of a person and write that down really quickly so that you can have an action plan to go from here. All right, and I do see a question I'm going to actually answer because I figured that this would come up. So I'm going to answer this, Sarah, and then I'll give it back over to you. And that is a suggestion for introverts on how to initiate a conversation with a group of people. Because it is hard to go up, right? So again, I would go up to a group of 3, not a group of 2, because that's a group, or a group of 3 or more, I would say. And I would go up and I would first, stand there, and I wouldn't interrupt. And when there's a break in the conversation, I would just say, hi, my name is Amy. I'd love to meet each of you. And then let them introduce themselves. And then you're a part of the group. But it does require you going up to them. And I know sometimes as an introvert that's hard. So if there's somebody that you know at a networking event, take them with you. The 2 of you go up to people and network. And sometimes that makes it a lot more comfortable. So while you're writing your action plan, I'm actually going to take this back and send it over to Sarah so that she can pull it back together and we can do some question and answers.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Amy, so much. Yes, we do have some time for about 5 minutes for that live Q&A. So attendees, why don't you go ahead and send us those questions now. And while we wait, I'm just going to share a little bit of how you can keep in touch. Amy's contact information is on that screen, as well as her LinkedIn profile. And Amy's LinkedIn profile is going to be her preferred communication. So go ahead and just send her one of those invitations after the session. And you can always connect with HRDQ-U through all the social media channels. And don't forget to register for our weekly webinar Wednesdays at HRDQ-U.com. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started on those questions. Our first question is coming from Stacy. How do you find places to network?
Well, as I said earlier, I look at really anything as an opportunity to network. So if I'm going to a neighborhood barbecue like I am invited to in my townhouse neighborhood in June, I look at that as an opportunity to network. Your alumni association, get involved in professional associations, and then within your industry and within your company, look at business events that are occurring. Anytime you're getting together with other people, even if you're getting together for a team meeting, look at that as an opportunity to practice networking and to network and to learn. So there's plentiful, church, your kids' events, outside of work as well as inside of work. So I look at almost anything. I talk to people in the grocery store line, so you may not all be like me, but I'm a little bit crazy that way. So I hope that gives you some ideas.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And our next question is coming from Darnell. Can you redefine an elevator speech?
Sure. So an elevator speech is really just an intro of who you are and a little bit about you. So if you're in a networking event and you're currently employed, it's really just telling a little bit about who you are and what you do and where you've been. If you're at a networking event and you're unemployed, it's a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and what you want to do, what you're looking to move towards. But it's always good to include what are you looking for in talking to that person. I'd like to know more about you and your industry. I'd like to know more about you and your role. So something along those lines at the end. But it's really an intro, but it's a brief intro, and it's a concise, focused intro.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And it looks like our next question is coming from David. How many social media networking outlets do you suggest participating in?
Oh, that's a great question. It really depends on you, the person. If you're talking about, I assume you're talking about things like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I am very, very involved in LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn multiple times a day. I'm asking questions of people to get information. I'm looking at what's posted so I can learn. I am on Twitter. I'm not really active on Twitter. And I'm actually not on Facebook, which a lot of people think I'm weird because of that. But I purposely kind of have my professional presence out there on LinkedIn as opposed to I look at Facebook being a more personal route to go. Although you can use it as you want. I have focused on those two, Twitter a little bit and LinkedIn, because it is a lot. It takes a lot of time to stay connected, to find connections, to read information, to share information. So it's up to you, but I wouldn't overwhelm you with too many ways to do that.
All right, great, thanks. And I think we probably just have time for just one more question, and that one is coming from Darcy. Is there a way to make an elevator speech sound a little less formal?
I think it's got to be based on you and your tone of voice and who you are. So you want you to come out of, when you're introducing yourself, you want them to hear you. You don't want it to be rehearsed. You don't want to have it written down. So you want your tone of voice to be conversational. Hi, my name's Amy. I'd love to hear more about you. I usually let them go first. And then I would say, well, my background is learning and development. I've been in it for a number of years in these various industries. Here's some things that I've done in those industries. And here's some things I'm interested about, and that's why I'm here today. So if you make it conversational, and I change it every time. I don't say the exact same thing every time, but you don't want it to sound rehearsed and like you're reading it. That really is important.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. And would you just like to add any final thoughts before I go ahead and wrap up this session?
Sure. So first of all, thank you all for being here today. It was a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you so much for all of your ideas that you were typing in. I didn't get to read them all because they were all great and there were a lot of them. But here's my encouragement to you. Networking is a life skill. It's important. It's critical. Just do it. Try it out, and you will be successful at it. But you have to practice it, and you want to go and you want to try. And so for those of you that are more uncomfortable, like I said, take somebody with you. Grab a friend and say, hey, let's go to this event together. Or meet one person and then go around and network with them to make it a little bit more comfortable for you. So I hope that you found value in today. And please send me a personalized LinkedIn connection. I'd love to connect with you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me.
All right, great, Amy. Thank you again so much. And just for the attendees, if we didn't get time to answer your question, you will receive an emailed response probably mid to late next week. So we appreciate your time, and we hope you found today's webinar informative. Thank you.